The field now, a sharply divided UN Security Council has debated the unilateral decision taken by the United States to strike the Syrian military targets in response to a chemical weapons attack that killed dozens of people earlier this week. And with the full backing of Western countries, the US faced fierce criticism from both Russia and Bolivia, while other countries echoed calls for an impartial investigation in order to determine responsibility for the attacks in Idlib Province, for which the Syrian government has denied any responsibility.
Tomahawk missiles fired from US destroyers in the dark of night from the Mediterranean Sea, all but one hitting their targets, destroying Syrian airfields and aircraft, while Syria claims 6 people were killed. In New York, an emergency session called by Bolivia that referenced Washington's flawed reasoning to the Council in 2003 for invading Iraq.
Appalling to us because yesterday we were still discussing drafts for a mechanism to investigate the horrible chemical attack that happened a couple of days ago. And while we were discussing that, they were preparing those attacks. And that's, as I said, against international law. It's not the first time that this kind of things happens, but we believe that someone should come and defend multilateralism.
The US strike a flagrant violation of international law and rejected criticism over vetoing 7 previous actions by the Council on Syria.
Insulting words have been heard with regard to our right to veto. Our right, which we have used in a responsible manner, but we use it only in such circumstances when you try in the Security Council to impose your irresponsible geopolitical project. The Security Council must develop agreed international decisions. But these geopolitical adventures will never be supported.
While Council negotiations continued over a draft resolution to respond to the chemical attack, plans were already underway for the strike.
Our military destroyed the airfield from which this week's chemical strike took place. We were fully justified in doing so. The moral stain of the Assad regime could no longer go unanswered. His crimes against humanity could no longer be met with empty words. It was time to say enough, but not only say it, it was time to act.
Others offered their full support.
The Syrians need a new leadership for a new time without Assad. And Russia finally needs to do what it says it will do, which is to put pressure on Assad. And instead, Assad humiliates Russia at every turn, fails to agree a ceasefire, fails to allow humanitarian aid in, and now deliberately uses chemical weapons against his own people.
Ambassador, is an appropriate response a legal response?
The United Kingdom fully supports the United States action, which was appropriate. The illegal act here was the heinous use of chemical weapons by Assad against his own people.
The UN Secretary General appealed for restraint to avoid acts that could deepen the suffering of the Syrian people. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.